Bigfoot Collectors Club with Michael and Riley. I know a story of high strangeness or two. Let's do this.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Bigfoot Collectors Club, the show where we talk to amazing guests about their personal paranormal history and share stories of high strangeness. I'm your host, Michael McMillian, and with me always is the tunesmith of Topanga Canyon.
Oh, Riley Bray.
Submitted by Jimmy Kiwi. Thank you, Jimmy. Listen, don't be trying to dox ultra-terrestrial producer Riley Bray. And I'm just going to say to everyone who thinks they know where you live now, they missed their mark.
Or no, they're correct.
Yeah, you nailed it, Jimmy. Nailed it.
Old Topanga Canyon Road. That's where I live.
111 Topanga Canyon Lane. Ultra-terrestrial station. I'm sorry, I was cracking up because at the beginning of the episode when I was coming in with the intro, I was like, wow, I really sound like an NPR host today. And then I stumbled on my words.
Oh.
And then I cracked up.
That happens to me when I'm playing guitar sometimes or playing bass where I'm like, oh, this sounds so good. And then I forget that I have to be playing. And I'm like, oh, no.
Then you get glares from your bandmates.
Yeah. It happens, you know. You get
Let me
lost
take
in
a
the
little
sauce.
sippy on my bottle.
Ooh, a little sippy on the baba.
How are you, Riley?
I'm good, man. Caitlin was gone last night, so I was staying up late writing code.
Building
bots. Little
bot babies.
Bot friends. Yeah.
That's fun. How many bot friends are you going to have by the end of March?
More than human friends, and I have a lot of human friends.
Oh, okay. Building your little bot army over there.
That's right.
Peacedrawn.net. I'm going to plug it for you.
Dude, it crossed 4,000 monthly users yesterday.
Hell yeah, buddy.
New milestone. Yeah. Exciting.
That's great.
My biggest country this month was France, too, which is interesting.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Have you ever listened to Air?
I have.
Fortet. They love their crazy
Their
sounds
beeps and
over
their
there.
boops,
Their
yeah.
beeps and their boops. Naming two like 25-year-old bands.
Yeah. We're hip.
Listen, Taste Freeze hit me over 10 years ago. All right, everybody. So, although I have to say, I was watching briefly the Grammys, which I know aren't always the most contemporary, with people at Birds down in Franklin Village. I caught the first few minutes of it, and there were a lot of people being like, "Who's that? Who's this?" And I was like, "I've seen them before."
I know about that.
I know about that. Also, I do love Sabrina Carpenter. She is just a doll.
What's not to love? She's
Oh my
delightful.
God. So fun, so funny. I got to watch that new Muppet reboot.
Oh, yeah.
She's guest starring on it. I think I'm a fan of Sabrina Carpenter's.
Hey, nothing wrong with that.
Love Man-Child. It's a great song. Great set on the
Love
Grammys.
me some Chapel Roan, too. Gotta say.
I love Chapel Roan.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Interlocking Kid. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, the girly pop is going strong these days.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Okay, so here's what we're doing today. We have our first deep dive episode of 2026. It's a single parter, but it comes on the entrails. We will be talking about birds of prey. So
Okay. There will be entrails.
Comes at the end of a sort of months long research examination into winged cryptids, winged humanoids that really started in late November, December over on the other side. So this is just a natural progression. And we talked about it over there. I was like, I got to do this topic and it's got to happen soon. And it's going to. Before we get into that, any business, I guess just clubhouse keeping is just a reminder that we do have merch.
Yeah.
And if you want to grab merch, go over in the show notes, clink the link in our show notes.
Clink on down, my babies.
Clink on down and get yourself a little cap, a little tee, whatever you want. And then if you haven't joined us over at BCC Clubhouse, over at bcc.supercast.com, please do so. Because you would have heard the whole ramp up to this. Okay. Do we just want to do it?
Let's just do it. Let's
just
get
do
into
it.
it. You got to just dive in the deep.
Let's dive into these entrails, everybody. Here we go. On Saturday, April 26th, 1890, the Tombstone Epitaph of Tombstone, Arizona, ran an article featuring a jaw-dropping encounter between two ranchers and some sort of flying monstrosity out in the gap between Whetstone and Huacha Mountains. The article, titled "Found in the Desert," regaled its readership with how the two ranchers were astride their horses when they witnessed a large, smooth, alligator-like creature with bat wings wobbling in a distressed manner low above the desert floor, evidently greatly exhausted by a long flight. It was broad daylight, allowing the men to get a good eyeful of the dragon-like beast they were witnessing clumsily skidding across the earth. Its wingspan was judged to be about 160 feet from tip to tail, tip to tip, and the wings were composed of a thin membrane that were almost transparent. The monster had the eyes the size of dinner plates, and its mouth was lined with massive sharp teeth. As the legendary story goes, the ranchers followed the beast for miles until they were close enough to get a clean shot, raised their rifles, and fired.
Gotta shoot it, yeah.
What the hell is this thing? It looks like it's in distress. Let's kill it. And they put the poor creature out of its misery. They shot it. They killed it. They shot it and they killed it. Allegedly. Now, too large to drag back to town on horseback, the men apparently cut off a bit of the creature's wing and rode back into Tombstone, where they claimed that they would gather a posse of men to go back and collect the monster's remains. And that is where that story ends. No follow-up in the epitaph about what happened to this flying crocodilian beast.
They all got drunk at the saloon.
Yeah, they got distracted at Gertie's. The creature, whose story would be republished in national newspapers for years that followed, would find new life in the 1960s Saga magazine, eventually became known as the Tombstone Thunderbird, despite its very unbird-like appearance.
Very unbird-like.
It's got scales, it's smooth, and an alligator's head. Now, this story captured the imaginations of multiple generations of cryptozoologists and paranormal investigators, and even spawned a mystery within itself. Another puzzle to come out of the Thunderbird mystery is decades-old debate among cryptozoologists over the existence of a photograph depicting a group of men and a dead Thunderbird that was allegedly taken in Tombstone back in the late 1890s. But I'm getting ahead of myself. We'll circle back to that later. The Tombstone creature is just one of many captivating giant flying cryptid stories that have been stuck together under the category of this week's topic of high strangeness, Thunderbirds. Now, as I said, I went over a bit of a winged humanoid run over the hiatus, even though we were still over on the other side. And this has been a topic that I've wanted to do since the beginning of BCC. And I'm very excited and I'm very pleased because I think we're going to have a lot of fun today because this topic proved to be even more interesting than I thought it would be. There's some great stuff in here.
Okay, cool.
So let's kick off this deep dive. Let's kick off the deep dive with tradition. And ask you, Riley, what do you know about Thunderbirds?
Well, first off, the Tombstone Epitaph is maybe the coolest name of a newspaper that has ever existed.
100%.
I had to mention that.
Could not be more in character for the town.
Yeah, no
they were
notes
like,
there.
It's just brilliant.
Yeah, it's good.
Poetry, really.
Truly. Old West poetry.
Mm-hmm.
Thunderbirds, deeply rooted in the Native American First Peoples mythology.
Yes.
And perhaps storytelling accounts.
Well, sure.
I would say there's got to be some overlap with dragons and dragon lore there.
I mean, I feel like we've already talked about a dragon.
Seems like it. Very
in the first
bird-like.
10 minutes of the show.
Yeah. That's it.
I mean,
don't
if you
know.
were if
Big
you were to
birds, big birds.
describe, yeah, I was gonna say if you were to describe a thunderbird, what would you describe?
Like,
How would you describe it?
bigger than a condor. We're talking like plane-sized birds
Yeah,
that rule the skies and maybe are related to like thunder and lightning. Maybe, I don't know.
I mean, 160 feet from wingtip to wingtip is like a Boeing. That's like a massive plane.
That's a big plane.
And I think later in the 1960s in Saga magazine, they like dropped it down to like 30 or 40 feet. They made
Still
it
very large. Yeah.
Still very, very large. Some people say that claim to have seen these, and we'll get into some of these eyewitness accounts, that they're about the size of a Cessna plane.
Okay.
There's a stretch in Alaska, on the southern coast of Alaska, where people see these things, and they say they look like giant eagles.
Like to this day, they still see these things.
Yeah, like occasionally, you know what I mean? I would say within the last 30 years, and people who are flying their little puddle jumpers are like, this thing is the size of my own plane.
Wow.
So, the Thunderbird is a giant eagle or condor-like spirit bird found in the indigenous folklore of multiple American Indian nations. The Algonquin people claimed the Thunderbird could create thunder and lightning with the flapping of its wings, and it was the nemesis of the great horned serpent of the underworld. So
Cool.
He's a good guy. He's like the Superman of birds.
Yeah.
Okay?
All right.
They are depicted as noble beings who may sometimes shapeshift into human form. Their totems can be found alongside or on top of other birds like eagles, hummingbirds, woodpeckers, all real animals, and all who hold significant spiritual meaning to indigenous tribes of North America, alongside many other animals found routinely in nature. So the question is, if all the other animals in these stories are real and on these totem poles, then why is the Thunderbird and maybe the wild man, also called the Tanakwa, why are they the only fictional characters? So basically, we've got beavers, we've got raccoons, we've got hummingbirds, we've got eagles, we've got woodpeckers, and then we have Thunderbirds and sometimes wild man, who basically doubles as Sasquatch.
Right.
So, and also all of these animals had significant spiritual meaning in these cultures. So there's an argument, if all these other animals are real, then why is the Thunderbird fake? And why is maybe Bigfoot fake? Just something to think about. Food for thought.
Yeah,
Fun
that makes sense. Yeah. I mean, it could be that it's like sort of like, like the, whole like God created man in his image. So this is like the bird god kind of vibe.
Sure.
I don't know, just throwing it out there.
Throw it on out. I think that there might be an answer to this one. Maybe not the Bigfoot. We're not gonna really talk about Bigfoot for the rest of this episode. But I think there's a possible answer for the Thunderbird thing. But we'll get into it. A few months after the Tombstone Thunderbird story that appeared in the Epitaph, the same article was published. After that story was published, an article about a young boy who spotted a flying reptilian creature appeared in the June 12th edition of this San Diego paper, the Sunday Examiner. And it reads, "An aerial monster, what Judge Diller's little boy claims to have seen. The Sunday Examiner contained an account of a winged monstrosity that had been shot and killed by some men in Arizona. It was described as a species of animal hitherto totally unknown in the world, with enormous bat-like wings, the beak of a crocodile, and the elongated body and a tall twisted tail like a coil of electric wires. The story read like an Examiner fake, but semi-corroboration is furnished by a local incident. Several days ago, the young son of Judge Diller ran pale and frightened to the house, exclaiming, 'Papa, I have just seen the devil.' He declared that while out on the hills in City Park, he saw an enormous creature flying through the air with bat-like wings, a long bill, and a tail twisted like a donut. His father laughed at such a notion, but the little fellow stoutly held on to his story. He said it flew towards the east. Yesterday, he was questioned again about it and repeated just what he had seen previously. On being shown a picture of the monster reported to have been shot in Arizona, he declared it looked just like the creature he had seen. Of course, both stories are improbable, but the coincidence is just a trifle peculiar. Now,
some good old West journalism right there.
I love it. So actually, I think I misquoted myself here. So the story that they're talking about in the San Diego paper is referring to a story from the Sunday Examiner, which was in San Francisco, that ran the story about Tombstone. And then they ran their own story about this little kid seeing a dragon in San Diego. And there's a couple points about this article that I want to make. It was published in June, but it makes no specific date of the kid's encounter, just that it took place several days ago. Mm-hmm. And I guess it wasn't unusual for stories, especially of this variety back in the day, to go a long time without being published.
Sure.
And this story about the Arizona dragon, or the Tombstone Thunderbird, circulated for 2 or 3 more years after it was originally published. So some people would get the news much later than others, because that's just the way news traveled back then. And that's what editors are like, oh, okay, we've got this story, put it in the paper today. Mm-hmm. So we don't know exactly when this encounter took place with this kid, just that it was published in June. And then the picture that the kid was shown was not a photo, but it was an illustration of the creature from the San Francisco Examiner that had picked up the Tombstone story. And it's this cartoony looking crocodile creature with bat wings. And you can see the 2 ranchers running along trying to shoot it. And then like the like mountains of Arizona in the background.
Yeah, he is just a silly little guy. And he's going, oh no.
And the caption of the drawing says, the monster was evidently exhausted and being murdered at the same time.
Wow. Yeah.
So is it possible that the Lil Diller's encounter with Satan was actually the same creature shot and killed by the ranchers before it flew out east to Arizona? I ask you this. Mm-hmm. Well, what could these flying creatures be, Riley?
I think that we'll find out right after this break.
That's right. Okay, and with the sound of that can being opened, we're back. What are you sipping on over there?
It's these new energy drinks I've been trying called Gorgies.
Ooh.
Kaylin's been getting them, and they are good.
Not a sponsor, not paid promotion.
Just a good drink.
Okay, I'll check it out. What flavor are you
They have ridiculous names. Let's see. This one is the... Oh, no, these aren't the ones. The other ones had like names of people that I have no idea who they are. This is just the sparkling watermelon splash.
That sounds good. I just want to say, since we were on our break, it was the San Diego Weekly Union that told the story about Judge Diller's little boy. Okay. So the first obvious candidates for Thunderbirds, at least in the context of the San Diego Dragon and the Tombstone Thunderbird, is obvious. Dinosaurs.
Totally.
As we recently discussed in the Big Bird of Rio Grande Valley over on the other side, in the 1970s, a group of Texas teachers pulled over on their way to school when they saw 2 enormous creatures flying over a field that they later identified as a pteranodon. And yes, I mispronounced that almost every other time that I've done this in the past. I was confusing pteranodons with pterosaurs and calling them pterodons. So I apologize, everybody. Who cares? You're on mute, Riley. What happened? Did you burp and mute yourself?
Oh, I was just adjusting things and then forgot to unmute. Did we get a letter from a dino nerd? Did we get a well, actually?
We didn't, but there were some people being like, Michael doesn't know how to pronounce this. And I think it was a combination of 2 things. 1, I was saying it wrong. And 2, I was also jokingly adding a P every now and then. And so someone on the Discord was like, Michael doesn't know how to say this word. And you're half true. Part of it was self-imposed hilarity, and the other was just being a lazy reader. So pteranodons, pterodactyls, Quetzalcoatlus, and Dimophodon, just to name a few, are
Who's pronouncing dinosaurs now?
Yeah.
Huh?
All types of pterosaurs that would fit the descriptions of the Tombstone Thunderbird, the San Diego Dragon, and the creature spotted in Texas by the school teachers. But these types of time-placed pterosaur stories, or time-displaced, I should say, are pretty few and far between. Modern Thunderbird stories pretty much always involve creatures that are traditionally more avian in design, like the Thunderbird totem itself. Mm-hmm. So past that, with the exception of the Big Bird of Rio Grande Valley, which definitely had some dinosaur-like descriptions, like people were saying it was like a monkey with a beak, most of the stories that we're going to focus on today, the Thunderbirds look like birds past the early turn of the century. So it's confusing, but fun and mysterious. Before we circle back to possible scientific explanations for Thunderbird sightings, and let me tell you, I don't know if there really are any, let's consider these encounter stories. A hotspot for Thunderbird activity in the past has been the good old state of Illinois. Back in the 1940s, in the town of Alton, Illinois, there was a large flap of big bird sightings. On April 4th, 1948, Army Colonel Walter F. Sigmund was chewing straw with a local farmer when they both looked up to see an enormous black bird flying overhead.
I thought there was something wrong with my eyesight, but it was most definitely a bird, and not a glider or a jet plane. It appeared to be flying northeast, and from the movements of the object and its size, I figured it had to be a bird of tremendous size.
So we're talking small plane-sized bird, big black
bird.
And we're going to hear this over and over again, especially in these cases in Illinois. The birds were mostly all black, with the exception of one very important case that we're about to get to.
Okay.
Over the next few weeks, more and more people claim to see enormous black birds resembling eagles the size of small planes in the skies above Alton, including some flight instructors that saw one of the birds cast a shadow the size of a Piper cub from 500 feet up. Alois Kaufman, mayor of St. Louis, was so enamored with these sightings that he sent an underling to capture a genuine Thunderbird. I love this. Imagine you're working for the mayor of St. Louis. He calls you into your office and you're like, it's my big day. I'm going to help settle some municipal problem.
Right.
And he says, Leroy, I need you to get out there and capture a Thunderbird. Drive 3 hours to Alton, Illinois and get me a Thunderbird.
Yeah.
You're like,
he was so enamored, but not quite enamored enough to go himself.
No.
Yeah.
He's sending his own personal Jimmy Olsen to go do this for him.
Exactly.
And imagine he's like, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
My boss expects me to capture a bird the size of an airplane and bring it back to town hall?
Don't you come back without that airplane bird. Or it's your job.
You take the St. Louis Arch and you make a big bird net out of it and you take that out to Alton, Illinois and you catch me a Thunderbird, Jimmy. Imagine just driving out there, and back then the cars were so much slower. There's no freeways. Like, that's a weekend, your whole weekend. Like, you just gotten engaged, and now your fiance's mad at you because you have to drive. You have to spend the weekend in Alton looking for a Thunderbird.
That's a good setup for a movie right there.
It's true. Yeah. So the mission failed, of course.
Wow, shocking.
But the mayor was satiated when his man returned with photographs of large tracks made by a great blue heron.
That too, he's like, let's just take some pictures of these bird tracks. He'll forget about it next week.
Yes. By the way, gray blue heron, not big enough, nor the right color or anything to match any of these descriptions.
But yeah, I'm sure the mayor's like, by God, I knew you were my man for the job.
I bet that mayor saw King Kong and is like immediately was like, go get to Skull Island and get me a giant gorilla.
Oh man, yeah. Well, politicians haven't changed.
Now, interestingly enough, there have been legends of enormous birds in Illinois dating back thousands of years. And this is really cool. On the bluffs of the Mississippi River in Alton, one can find an old mural depicting the pterosaur bird, a man-eating, dragon-like creature with a fox head, an eagle's beak, wings, and scales.
Cool.
Classic chimera. I put a link for you to check this out. There's a really cool mural here. I want you to describe it to me. It looks very medieval. Now,
it does.
The current version of this mural is a recreation of a petroglyph that was etched on limestone. And over the years, weather, mining, everything, that petroglyph disappeared.
Okay.
But it caught the attention of Jesuit missionary Jacques Marquette, who came across it during his expedition of the Mississippi. Now, I don't know how your French accent is, but do you want to try to take a stab at this? You want to be a French explorer?
Jacques, yeah. Okay. Baguette. Croissant.
We saw upon them two painted monsters, which at first made us afraid, and upon which the boldest savages dare not long rest their eyes. They are as large as a calf, and they have horns on their heads like those of a deer, a horrible look, red eyes, a beard like a tiger's face, a face somewhat like a man's, a body covered with scales, and so long a tail that it winds around all around the body, passing above the head and going back between the legs, ending in a fish's tail.
Honestly, best performance to date by you, I think.
Thank you.
There were glimpses of Puss in Boots in there, but overall, it was very good.
Thank you.
So again, here we have something that is, to contradict myself from earlier, this feels more dragon-like. Horns, scales, beard like a tiger, a tail so long that it winds around the body and then goes back to between the legs, ending in a fish's tail. So the pterosaur is, I would not say a 1-to-1 of a Thunderbird, but here we have an example of big flying dragon-like creatures being part of the local folklore dating years and years and years back.
Yes, it's in the neighborhood for sure. I also really appreciate that you linked me to the Kids Britannica.
Yeah.
Man, did you have kids encyclopedias growing up?
No, we had like the real encyclopedias that were down in a dusty shelf in the basement. I would have loved to have a Britannica Kids. Are you kidding me?
We had both. I was a real Britannica kid growing up. Let me tell you.
Britannica Bray, that's what they used to call you.
Maybe not.
Little Brittany.
Little Brittany. That's what. Little Brittany's down with the books again.
Oh, little Brittany carrying his books back to school. Alton was built on the native land of the Cahokia tribe, who told stories of Thunderbirds in their folklore. And in addition to the pterosaur, Thunderbird petroglyphs can be found all throughout southern Illinois, Wisconsin, Missouri, and Minnesota. So all of these cultures, and I put a bunch of links. You can see there's like all these caves. There's Washington State Park in Missouri. There are, let me see, here's another one.
These are cool.
They're awesome. The Jeffers petroglyphs in Minnesota. And typically what you'll see in the Thunderbird petroglyphs is it's the squarish looking bird where the wings are kind of out to the side.
Yeah.
With straight lines down and sort of a triangular tail. And there's a difference between, I think Bob Gimlin, not the same Bigfoot Bob Gimlin, but another Fortean guy, Bob Gimlin, who you can watch videos on YouTube. He talks about how There was a couple Thunderbird sightings. I didn't include them here, but can't remember where they were. But basically, a couple was looking out their window and saw two giant ass birds land on the tips of their pine trees, and they were like bending the pine trees over.
Cool.
And they had to hold their wings out to help keep them balanced.
Great.
And you'll see certain cranes and herons do that when they land on things.
Mm-hmm.
And Gimlin points out that, like, interestingly enough, in all the petroglyphs, most of the petroglyphs of the Thunderbirds, their wings are out, just like how they're seen. Sometimes people have seen them.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
And different than eagle petroglyphs, where eagles tend to have their wings tucked at them at rest,
that's how
at their sides.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
So I don't know. You know what I mean? Are these petroglyphs, recording something that the naked eye is seeing in nature? Right.
That's an interesting detail. Yeah. Totally.
So perhaps what the people of Alton were witnessing was a species of bird long thought extinct. If the past was returning to Illinois, 1949 wouldn't be the last time Thunderbirds would be seen, because they come back 30 years later, just like we're about to come back after this break. On July 24th, 1977, the Lowe family of Lawndale, Illinois were enjoying a nice summer evening. It was around 8:10 p.m. and Ruth Lowe was cleaning up what she called an alfresco dinner.
What does that mean?
I don't know. Google alfresco dinner 1970s and let's
doesn't
see what comes
alfresco
up.
just mean like you're eating outside?
Yeah, I think they were just eating, but like what alfresco dining?
An alfresco dinner is half a bottle of wine in a glass and some crackers.
Eating outdoors, patios, rooftops, sidewalk cafes.
Yeah.
So I guess they were just sitting out
Sitting
back,
outside, just being
sitting
fancy
outside
about
eating
it.
dinner. She's cleaning up. She's clearing the dishes, and the kids are out back playing in the backyard.
Okay.
So she suddenly heard the screams of her 10-year-old son, Marlon, who was playing outside with another boy. I'm unsure if it's a son or a relative or a neighbor. Ruth runs outside to see a giant bird sinking its talons into the collar of her son, dragging him off the ground and carrying him 35 feet.
Whoa.
Ruth later described the kid said it just came out of nowhere and grabbed him, and he just started screaming.
Yeah.
And it wasn't strong enough to lift him off the air, up into the air, but it was dragging him with his, like, the toes of his little tennis shoes dragging across the lawn, trying to pick him up. He's a 10-year-old kid.
Yeah.
Ruth said it had a white ring around its half-foot-long neck. The rest of the body was very black. The bird's bill was 6 inches in length and hooked at the end. The claws on the feet were arranged with 3 front, 1 in the back. Each wing, less than the body, was 4 feet at the very least. The entire length of the bird's body from beak to tail feather was approximately 4.5 feet. Ruth,
Okay.
Yeah, big bird. This is a big ass bird.
But that's like that could exist. That's a
realistically, yes, but as we're going to get into, we don't have a lot of examples of birds with like a 9-foot wingspan.
Yeah, it's a big bird, yeah.
Ruth ran to her son's rescue, attacking the bird, who ultimately gave up and flew back into the sky, where a second bird had been circling the entire incident.
Whoa.
The terrified family watched in disbelief as the giant birds flew away. The press, once they got a hold of this story, called the bird King Vulture for its resemblance to a turkey vulture, which were common in the area. Now, turkey vulture has a wingspan of 5 to 6 feet, and as noted, this creature's was around 9. Turkey vultures also do not have a white ring around their necks. They're like all black. Basically, They're all black.
Right.
Now, a few days later, Riley, I really want you to get ready for this.
Okay.
Because, every now and then in our journeys, we meet a man. We come across a man.
Uh-huh.
And we're about to meet another man, okay?
Okay, I can't wait.
A few days later, a man by the name of John Chief A.J. Huffer, a photographer for the local CBS station, filmed what he claimed to be 2 Thunderbirds flying from his canoe at Lake Shelbyville, Illinois. He had been commissioned by the local news to go try to film one of these king vultures. So we've included a YouTube video. Let's cue it up. We do want to hear the sound because we get to hear the sound of AJ, Chief AJ. So we're gonna get past this
I'm
ad.
past the ad.
Okay,
all right, there we go.
Let's pause it so we can let everyone
pause
queue up
at
at
0.
00. Okay, so I've included a link in the show notes, or you can watch this. Hopefully, if we can rip this,
It's
and get
probably
it up,
going to be in the YouTube. Yeah,
it'll be in the YouTube version of the show. Okay, so when you're ready, count us in, and we'll hit play. This is Living Giant Thunderbirds Flying, John Huffer on YouTube. Okay,
I can't wait. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, play.
Month of July 1977, many reports of giant living thunderbirds were pouring into newspaper offices and TV stations across central Illinois. I, Chief AJ of the Central Tribal Native American Council, was called upon by CBS television to try to film a living thunderbird. I had been trained by the United States Marine Corps to be a combat photographer. CBS had called on me many times in the past to film major fires. I had produced good films for CBS, delivering to them network quality results. I studied a map of central Illinois where the Thunderbird sightings had been happening and decided to cruise by canoe the remote shoreline of Lake Shelbyville. I had my 16mm news camera loaded with 100 feet of professional Ektachrome film.
Hell yeah.
You are now seeing the original footage of living flying Thunderbirds straight out of Native American legends. This footage has been studied by several universities since July 1977, and the following television show is one of the interesting results. Let it fly.
Yes. Oh my, he's got a website, chiefaj.com.
ChiefAJ.com. Unfortunately, Chief AJ is no longer with us.
Oh man.
Now,
that was straight out of Twin Peaks.
100%. And an apropos observation, because I am not one, nor is it my place to question anyone's origins. But I will say, when you see Chief AJ, it does raise a few eyebrows.
Okay.
Because he's leaning in hard into the costume of his purported culture.
ChiefAJ.com is a dead link now.
Go to, there's another link in here called Amazon.com Exploits of Chief AJ by Chuck Vaughn. And you're going to get a picture of Chief AJ. There's also another wonderful video of him showing you how a slingshot that he made.
Oh boy. Wow.
He's really committing to the bit.
Oh yeah, he is. Oh my God, this guy.
So here's a little backstory. We're going to tangent for a minute.
Okay.
Here's a little backstory on Chief AJ.
Okay.
According to the author, John Chief AJ Huffer comes from a small town in Illinois, but throughout his lifetime, he's become known worldwide for his marksmanship accomplishments. In the exploits of Chief AJ, author Chuck Vaughn looks into the life of Chief AJ, a Native American Christian U.S. Marine and former bodybuilder who worked out with Jack LaLanne.
Yeah, he did.
In 1987, Chief AJ broke his first world record by throwing and shooting 40,060 wood blocks during 8 days through pain and weather without a miss.
What?
He went on to break records with air rifles, longbows, and 200-pound English warbow and slingshots. Throughout his life, he stayed busy participating in different types of exhibition shooting. Chief AJ set up rifle camps and trained instructors to teach others to shoot the Chief AJ way. He always maintained his fitness and won fitness contests into his 70s. He's been to Hollywood and featured on shows like Discovery Channel's Top Shot and National Geographic's The Unbeatables. The exploits of Chief AJ shares the story of this storyteller with a booming voice, now in his 80s, who found the success in the world of marksmanship and shooting.
What a life.
And he did pass in 2022. And in his obituary, it says, Chief was a scrawny kid. He wanted to start weight training at an early age. His parents made him learn all the muscles before they allowed him to get a dumbbell set. He went on to compete and I also have a seeking suspicion that Chief AJ wrote his own obituary. He went on to compete in Mr. America twice in his life in numerous bodybuilding competitions. He represented Tuscaloosa in the Super National Physique Classic in 2001, where he won first place Master 55 and over. Chief had an epiphany and was set on shooting a world record. Over an 8-day period in March 1987, he shot a world record of, now this is a different number. This is 14,060 wood blocks.
Maybe it was a typo. We're gonna give him a typo. That's still a lot. That's a lot of wood blocks.
Without a miss. This landed him on the cover of Guns magazine and launched his journey of fame in the gun world. He later developed the Chief AJ sling bow, which has been sold all over the world. His dear friend Tony Reeves now runs his sling bow empire. Chief appeared on reality TV shows Top Shot, Man vs. Machine, Monster Hunters, and History's Mysteries. He personally got to know Roy Rogers and had a big cowboy Indian gun exchange in Las Vegas. And we don't have to watch it right now, but do take a little peek this man in action in this other video called Chief AJ's Sling Bow, because you'll see Chief AJ in his backyard being filmed by his sweet wife in full costume.
Chief, don't point that at the camera.
I know.
Oh boy. You trust me?
Yeah, he's pointing at us. Hopefully that's a mounted camera.
I don't think it is.
He's basically combined a slingshot and a bow and arrow into one deadly weapon.
Yeah.
And he shoots pewter balls that he calls balls of death.
Of course he does.
To kill squirrels.
Man, imagine if this guy was your grandpa.
He's kind of my dad, I'll be honest. Like he's a few musical notes away from being my dad. I could see my dad being a little bit with a slightly different upbringing. My dad might have become this guy.
Yeah.
But
he puts on the headdress for the interview portion of this video.
Yeah.
Do you think that he gave himself the name Chief, or do you think that came from his time in the Marines?
I think he claims to be a tribal chief.
Oh, he's actually a chief.
His parents were allegedly, I say alleged, this is not fair for me to question a man's origin story.
Sure.
But I think his father was Cherokee and his mother was from a different Indian nation, and then he was adopted. So okay. I don't know. Again, it raises a few eyebrows. I would love to learn more about Chief AJ.
Yes. I mean, he does. So the adopted part, that's where I'll hold my commentary, you know?
Yeah, I think we have to hold our commentary. It's not our place.
Not our place. But you know what?
He's watch the videos.
He's a lovable guy.
He's a lovable guy who has interesting ways to kill things.
There we go. I would say that's an apt description. Yes. You know, he found his special interest, and he
committed to it.
Yeah, he committed to the pit.
Yes. Okay. So back to the Thunderbirds.
That was a great detour. Excellent detour.
So this video is interesting. I mean, these birds are definitely enormous birds out at the Lake Shelbyville. Mm-hmm. They're interesting, and they have been studied by ornithologists. And I know, like on Monster Quest, they reviewed this, and the experts they had were like, these are definitely large turkey vultures. And then another guy was like, I don't know, this could be. Let's see. I think one of the other guys said it might be an Andean condor. So after the hullabaloo in 1977, in 1978 in Danville, Illinois, a 17-year-old named John Walker was hunting doves when he too saw a giant screeching black bird with large square wings. Basically, they were boxier than normal bird wings. He reported that the body was about 5 or 6 feet in length. Now, the boxy thing is interesting because, again, the Thunderbird pteroglyphs are always very boxy looking. The birds are quite boxy. So a few candidates for these birds could include the aforementioned turkey vulture, the Andean condor. The Andean condor has a wingspan of 10.5 feet.
Right.
But both of these are carrion birds. They're not birds of prey, and their talons aren't created for lifting up prey, like the boy who was attacked in Lawndale.
Right.
They could have been adolescent California condors, which are all black. But that being said, Mrs. Lowe insisted that the bird that attacked her son Marlin, she said it matched the description of an Andean condor because it had the white thing around its neck.
Got it.
But Chief AJ's birds that were filmed here were all black.
Right.
So were these different birds than the two that attacked Marlin Lowe?
Yes.
Great. So a more fringe theory might be that Thunderbirds are a relic bird species, that they might be pterosaurs, which were huge birds that existed in North America as recently as 8,000 years ago. And this could definitely explain the existence of Thunderbirds in Native American folklore. In the essence that they could be ancestral memories of a now extinct animal.
That makes tons of sense.
As someone pointed out, it may have been Bob Gimlin, like, once tigers are gone, we're still going to talk about tigers for generations and generations to come. Especially if we have... Did I make you sad about
That
tigers
made me
being
sad.
gone?
Yeah, you made me sad about that.
But it makes sense that... didn't make people to be sad about tigers. But it makes sense that maybe Thunderbirds were these pterosaurs, and they've been passed down in oral mythology.
Yeah, totally.
So this theory is also a theory that's supported by our friend Lauren Coleman, a man who we've never met, but Lauren Coleman is a cryptozoologist, and he writes about this idea in Cryptozoology from A to Z. So I just kind of want to read you what he has to say about this.
Okay.
This is from his book. The most likely zoological candidates for Thunderbirds may be supposedly recently extinct pterosaurs. Alan Fiducia in The Age of Birds, 1986, writes, perhaps the most remarkable of the Ice Age vulturine birds found in the New World were the pterosaurs. The very common Pterosaurus merriami had a wingspan of 11 to 12 feet, and Pterosaurus incredibilis, known from the Pliocene deposits in Nevada and California, had a wingspan that may have approached 17 feet.
Whoa.
But the real giant was the Argentine fossil, nearly twice the size of Pterosaurus merriami, which stood 5 feet tall and had a wingspan of about 24 feet. It is the largest flying bird ever known to science.
Wow.
So this might explain why some of these giant ass birds they've seen off the Alaskan coast, and maybe these birds that were once prominent in Central North America or Central America, not Central America, but like the U.S., Central U.S. Maybe some of them are still hanging around. Could it be possible?
Yeah. Well, especially like back then.
Yeah,
And
Coleman, well, certainly when they coexisted when Native American people were,
right,
recording these things.
Sure, yeah, that's clear, yeah.
In oral tradition, for sure. But could there still be some out there, basically,
Possible.
like Relic?
Why not?
I don't know. But also the other thing in terms of like the Andean condors, I think some of these could be folded in there. And Coleman points out that because a lot of these stories take place in spring and summer, it may match migratory patterns with some of these birds.
Oh, okay.
A lot of these birds they they don't necessarily migrate from South America all the way up north, but with climate change and all this stuff, maybe they are, or maybe there were pet birds that escaped, or they were trafficked from, one area to another, brought back to the US and then let go. We know, again, from Tiger King that people have exotic pets and exotic animals off the black market and they escape.
Sure.
So who knows? Let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to dig into the final little bit of the Thunderbird mystery. So, back at the beginning of this segment, during the Tombstone Thunderbird stuff, I teased that there's a mystery within a mystery of the Thunderbird lore. And that is a supposed photograph of a giant Thunderbird that had been killed by a bunch of old-timey Western dudes. And this is considered the lost Thunderbird photo. And I'm going to throw up an image here. This is a recreation of what artist Andrew Minier claims that he saw in a book when he was a kid, and is described by other people who have claimed to have seen this photo, which now seems to have vanished from existence. Okay. So over the years, multiple people, from Ivan T. Sanderson, cryptozoologist, and John Keel, claim to have seen or have held or even owned a photograph that shows an enormous bird nailed to the wall of a barn, under which 5 or 6 men in Western wear stand, arms outstretched, lined up fingertip to fingertip to show how huge the bird was. Some say that this is the photo of the Tombstone Thunderbird from the Tombstone Epitaph. However, no photo ever ran in the paper, and let's be honest, it doesn't sound or look, based on the illustration, much at all like a dragon or a dinosaur. This looks like a big ass bird.
Like a big hawk, yeah.
So some people say this was a photo of a different Thunderbird entirely. Fortean researcher and author Kevin J. Gull has a great piece about the history of this photograph online, an article which I will link to. In his piece, he shares a drawing by artist Andrew Minier, who redrew the photo from memory, claiming he'd seen it in a book when he was a kid. Riley, you're playing a lot of roles today. Can you read this? You're a sensitive artist. Can you please read the role of Andrew Minier?
Yes, okay. Andrew Minier, the sensitive artist, recalling his youth.
I was perhaps 4 or 5 years old when I saw the picture. The photo I remember seeing and approximating in my sketch came from a dinosaur book in my elementary school library around 1990-91. I remember that the photograph clearly showed an eagle or otherwise recognizable bird of prey, and not a petrodactyl, as is commonly shown in reproductions of the original photograph. I also clearly remember a line of 5 or 6 men dressed in Western garb standing in front of the barn wall with their arms outstretched, fingertip to fingertip, to demonstrate the measure of the wingspan. I'm confident that the bird was darker than the barn wall in the background. Whether the photo was black and white or sepia-toned, I don't really recall. I used a sepia tone in my drawing because I've seen it commonly used in Old West photography. The original photo may have been black and white. I'm confident that the photograph I saw was an image of a gigantic eagle-like raptor, definitely with a hooked beak and most likely with a feathered head and neck. I don't know for sure whether the head was facing left or right, but it was definitely in profile. My drawing is, to the best of my knowledge and ability, which I will say, pretty good, the most accurate reproduction of the photo I remember seeing.
So what's your take on this?
I think that this is a memory that he has built and revisited over the years. And I think...
Okay. It's so specific, though.
I know, but I think he saw something in a book in the library in the 90s, and it tickled something in his little brain, and then he's since retrod that. I'm not accusing him of being a liar.
No. Listen, this is not an uncommon theory. Okay.
Yeah, memory's a deeply fallible thing.
Okay.
Especially with all the focus on like the sepia tone and the black and white, and I don't know. This just feels a little bit like that to me.
So according to Gall's research, the earliest mention of this missing Thunderbird photo can be traced back to a man, not quite a man like Chief AJ, but a man nonetheless.
There is no man like Chief AJ.
A man named Hiram M. Cranmer. Cranmer was born in 1871 and grew up in Pennsylvania, working for the lumber industry. Growing up, he absorbed the local folklore and Native American stories and was a subject in folklorist McEdward Leach's book, 2 Penny Ballads and $4 Whiskey, a Pennsylvania folklore miscellany. I mean, if there's ever been a book that contains Applesauce's family tree, 100%. It's got to be in 2 Penny Ballads and a $4 Whiskey.
Man, what a beautiful use of language.
Yeah. Leach calls Cranmer one of the last good informants in the old tradition of Pennsylvania. In other words, this old guy could spin a yarn or two. Mm-hmm. And, he had a wealth of knowledge about all the folklore. So during the 1950s and 1960s, Cranmer was a frequent contributor to Fate magazine's letters page. Now, Fate, which we've talked about before multiple times on the podcast, is arguably one of the biggest, if not most influential publications that shaped the trajectory and the lore of high strangeness and UFOs in pop culture during the mid-20th century. Without Fate, there's a lot of stuff we don't get. We don't get Men in Black. We don't get the Shaver Lake mysteries. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of old school lore that comes from Fate magazine.
Right.
In a letter that he wrote to Fate, Cranmer says, "I first saw such a bird in April 1922. I was standing at my gate at dusk when one flew over heading north. It passed a pine tree with branches spreading 50 feet, so I could estimate its wings spread fairly accurately. It was 35 feet. I was alone at the time and never mentioned the incident for 35 years. That was in a September 1963 issue of Fate magazine. And Cranmer claimed he and another witness spotted another enormous bird in 1957, estimated by one man as having a wingspread of 25 to 30 feet. I went outside and saw another bird flying lazily 500 feet above. Its wing motion reminded me of a blue heron, except the bird was lighter and grayer in color." So Gull in his article goes on to explain, and I just want to quote this straight from the article. In the very same letter, Cranmer first mentioned the Thunderbird photo. Sometime around the year 1900, 2 prospectors shot and carried into Tombstone, Arizona on a burrow one of these birds. This is Cranmer. When nailed against the wall of the Tombstone epitaph, its wingspread measured 36 feet. A picture showed 6 men with outstretched arms touching, standing under the bird. Later, a group of actors dressed as professors were photographed under the bird, with one of them saying, "Shucks, there is no such bird, never was and never will be." Cranmer later elaborated that he learned of this photograph or photographs from, quote, "a lady in Tombstone," and that the picture was circulated in papers all over the United States. So this description matches the description of the photo that Andrew Minier claims that he saw as a boy in the 1990s.
I would posit that maybe he saw a reproduction of this story as a child in the 90s, remembered it as a photo, and here we are.
Fair enough. Now, the first known, this is again, Gull is saying, the first known reference to the photo was actually printed in May 1963 issue of Saga magazine in an article by Jack Pearl titled "Monster Bird That Carries Off Human Beings." While the tale is credited only to a, quote, Pennsylvania resident, it is clearly the same account Cranmer included in his letter to Fate. Chorovinsky, speaking from his publishing experiences, including a stint at Fate magazine as a Fate columnist, surmised that Cranmer, like many other readers, probably sent the same letters about his pet topics out to several publications. Mm-hmm. Saga, being a larger newsstand magazine, might simply have gotten around to Cranmer's Thunderbird letter in the mail pile sooner than the smaller staffed Fate.
That tracks.
So seems to be that the idea of a bird photo from Tombstone originated from this old timer.
Yeah.
However, in the early 1970s, Ivan T. Sanderson wrote into Pursuit magazine claiming he had once owned a copy of this photo, but he lent it to 2 associates who were heading to Pennsylvania on a Thunderbird expedition and never got it back. So, how did it end up in a book that was possibly seen by Andrew Minier? I must admit this photo felt very, very familiar to me. When I was like, wait, I feel like I have a memory of this picture as well. Now, there is one photo that easily pops into mind when talking about Thunderbirds, and it's probably the first one you'll see when you Google Thunderbird. It's a silhouette cutout of the Teratorn argentavis at the Natural History Museum of Los Angeles County. If you scroll down, you'll see it, Riley. Here it is up on the video.
Yeah.
Now, this is what a Teratorn looked like. And in the photo, it's an old black and white photo of a museum curator standing next to a massive fucking big black bird.
Yeah. Oh,
So-
man. If I could have one familiar from extinction history,
Yes.
it would 100% be this bird. This thing is bad ass.
It's like the giant eagles from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
all
but
black.
like a goth raven.
Yes.
Oh, that's so cool.
So, does the fabled Thunderbird photo actually exist? Or is it a collective false memory developed over the past century of lore? And what about the Thunderbird itself? Does it exist? Or is it a collective shared ancestral memory of a long extinct giant bird of prey? I ask you, dear listeners, the same question I now pose to my colleague. What the hell was that?
Wow. I mean, that was a great primer on the Thunderbird. This is probably the best Thunderbird deep dive, at least I've ever experienced.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
I love Thunderbirds now.
I do too. They're so cool.
They're so cool.
I mean, I think it's pretty clear what you laid out. This was a real creature that lived and died some thousands of years ago. So it's embedded in our collective memory and passed down through ancestry and stories and oral tradition. There probably were some holdovers that kind of overlapped a little bit as the last ones disappeared, and then because it's in memory, it got sort of merged with condors and things like that. And yeah, it's like it's a part of it's a part of the history of this planet and our experience with the natural creatures, and then our own wild imaginations as they reinterpret it over the years. I don't think that photo exists. I really don't. I think
I don't.
I think it was a story, and then it was probably a drawing.
Well, you might also, this will probably tip it into, there were around the turn of the century when photography became more common. I'm going to there's a link here that I will just put to you in the chat. It's also on the Google Doc, but I just want to make sure you have the right one. And you can scroll down. Now, I'm going to include all these links just so if people, because there's a lot to unpack here. Because I guess also like nailing owls and eagles to barn doors was like a practice back in the day to like kill the predators of their chickens and to scare off other things. But if you scroll,
be a message to you.
but if you scroll down, there was a period around the turn of the century when photography was a big thing. There was a subgenre of tall tale postcards where people would post photos of large pumpkins or apples or fish or birds and make composites of them. And they were kind of like jokey postcards.
Yeah, it's like early Photoshop.
Early Photoshop. So it's
trickery.
possible that photo that everyone's talking about is an example of a tall tale postcard.
That also completely makes sense.
Yeah. And that a kid in elementary school would not understand. Scroll up, you'll see a photo of H.M. Cramner, who I do think might be the great grandpappy of the applesauce crew.
I think he is the patriarch of the whole thing. Yeah. Wow. There's some amazing photos in this link.
Yeah. This guy, this researcher, Kevin J. Gall, it's pretty rad stuff. So I'll put these links. Everybody check that out.
This photo of the golden eagle on this is like truly beautiful.
Yeah,
wow.
really beautiful.
Also, these tall tale postcards are fantastic. I love them.
Yep, they're great.
Yeah.
Well, so Thunderbirds, everybody. I don't know. I think we definitely have a logical explanation from where they come from in culture. I definitely think they're inspired by the Pterosaurs. Is it possible in this wild world that maybe there's relic bird species that are giant flying around? Maybe. I will say that, like, even with the Andean condor being the thing that would carry off the kid, it still doesn't quite fit the bill. Not a bird of prey.
No pun intended.
Yeah. Why is it? What's it doing in Illinois? I don't know. So there's a lot of questions and mysteries around this. But I also think that, like, the Tombstone story, the San Diego Weekly Union story about the dragon, maybe yellow journalism, maybe some tall tales, maybe a genuine case of high strangeness that then got folded into the Thunderbird mythology. But to me, they feel like separate things, you know. To me, the Thunderbirds are the Pterosaurs, and the flying dragon stuff is some snallygaster silliness or some genuine high strangeness that is more aligned with some of the flying humanoid stories that we've seen that just really defy all explanation.
Yeah.
You know?
That's a perfect takeaway.
Because it's
totally
like
agree.
2 cowboys and a little boy. Those are our eyewitnesses.
Yes.
How reliable are we?
Come
You know
on,
what I mean?
Guys. Yeah.
Come on. They're having fun. And I love that the kid was like, I saw Satan.
Of course. Yeah.
Just trying to get his old timey judge's father's love and attention. You know,
Just like
I saw Satan, Daddy. All right, well, that wraps up our deep dive on Thunderbirds. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed researching it. Riley, great job. Let's get you an agent. Let's book you some co-star roles at least.
Come on, guys.
Anything for Collector's Corner that you want to plug? Anything you're watching, reading, consuming, creating?
I watched this week. It was actually kind of funny. I watched the movie Honey Don't.
Oh yeah,
it's a Coen brother movie.
It's a sequel to that's a part of a trilogy with the same character.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, let me look up. But go on. I'm going to tell you as you're talking.
Well, the funny thing is that I watched it while I was waiting for my car to be serviced at the Subaru. That's right, guys. I drive a Subaru and have for years. At the Subaru dealership, and I was just sitting there watching, thinking there's a lot of sex in this movie that I was not expecting. So I kept having to jump forward and not be the creep in the Subaru dealership, just sort of watching porn. But it was I really liked it. It was great. It was like a classic noir detective story, but sort of turned on its head. The characters were great. The writing was snappy. It was just like, it was great. I really enjoyed it. It was a good movie.
So Ethan Coen was married to Trisha Cook, and they started this trilogy. They got a divorce. She's now a lesbian, or openly, came out as a lesbian, but they still work. They work. Is she
the lead in the? Who is Trisha Cook?
She's the writer of the first movie, Drive Away Dolls, co-writer with him. And then I think she may have directed. Did she direct Honey Don't?
I don't know.
Let me see.
I was watching it in the car dealership.
Let's see. Honey Don't is directed by Ethan Coen, but it's also co-written by Trisha Cook. So it's like their post-divorce collab. But so maybe if you liked Honey Don't, you should watch Drive Away Dolls. And maybe you should also watch.
I'm glad I brought it up. I love a sort of modern take on the private eye noir. It's one of my favorite genres.
I think it's called it's nicknamed like the lesbian noir trilogy or something.
Yeah.
But I love Margaret Qualley. She's great. I love it.
She's really good in it. Yeah, and Aubrey Plaza's great in it too. It's very good.
Pedro Pascal is in the first one.
Oh my!
Yeah, Drive Away Dolls. Check it out. I gotta say, after being a little lukewarm on Marvel stuff, like most people, the Wonder Man series on Disney Plus is so good. It is like nothing. I mean, you could just watch it as its own show, detached from the Marvel universe, and really appreciate it. It's very funny. Ben Kingsley is great in it. The lead actor is great in it. It's superbly written. It's superbly directed. It's a great satire on Hollywood.
Oh, cool.
And an actor struggle in Hollywood. And then the sort of superhero stuff is very minimal. It's sort of peripheral. And I'm only 4 episodes into 8 episodes, but man, I really, really enjoy it. And it's worth watching. If you've never even seen a Marvel thing before, you don't have to. You can just appreciate it as its own thing. Cool. Riley, I think you'd really, really like it.
Yeah, that sounds like something I would like, yeah.
It's really funny. It's really good. And, you know, if you've seen some of the other Marvel stuff, it might enhance it a little bit. There's like Iron Man.
Who is Wonder Man? I've never heard of that
Wonder
name.
Man is sort of a lesser known Avengers character. He is a super powered guy. His name is Simon Williams, and in the comic books, he's an actor. He's got sort of a convoluted origin and retconned origin, but he was on the Avengers in the 80s and 90s. And he's kind of gone back to the sidelines a little bit in the comic books. But so they've taken a character that you can have a little bit more flexibility with. Cool. But they're still being sort of true to the character's roots. He had his own solo series in the 90s, which was more of a comedy superhero book, kind of like She-Hulk. And so they've sort of embraced that tone in this. But it's great. It's surprisingly good. It's not Andor. It's a totally different tone from Andor, but it's one of those things where you're like, wow, this is a Marvel superhero show. It's the best show they've done, I think, by leaps and bounds. And you can appreciate it as its own TV show, you know? Cool. I think it's really, really good. So go watch Wonder Man on Disney+.
All right, good one. I like the idea of a working actor as a superhero. But he still has to like go to like auditions and stuff. Like, that's great.
And it's a love letter to acting and the struggle of being a struggling artist in like a machine. Yeah, which is also really good.
Relatable.
Yes, you should watch it, Riley. You'd really, really like it. It's very good. It's very, very good.
All right, maybe I can borrow someone's Disney subscription to check it out.
Let's talk off camera.
All right.
All righty. If you want more BCC or would like to listen to ad-free episodes, then join BCC Clubhouse at bcc.supercast.com. Get 3 bonus episodes every month on BCC The Other Side, ad-free episodes, and monthly music releases from Riley on Cosmic Tracks. Find the link to that in our show notes and on our Instagram bio at Bigfoot Collectors Club. If we don't see you over there, we will see you next Wednesday with an all-new episode of BCC. Until then, good night.
And go get the regrets.
Ooh, Mr. Marquette. Let's explore some things together.
Oh, yes. I will show you my Thunderbird.
I'm sure he was historically a terrible human being, but you know what? This version is
great. We're making a podcast on that.
Bigfoot Collectors Club is executive produced by Riley Bray and Michael McMillian, and engineered and edited by Riley Bray. Our theme song is Come Alone by Suneaters, courtesy of Lotuspool Records. For ad-free listening and bonus episodes every month, join BCC Clubhouse on bcc.supercast.com. Want to see us? Watch video episodes and exclusive content on youtube.com/@BigfootCollectorsClub.